Life Audio.
Welcome to the TMOS podcast, where we share how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together. Hey everyone, we're Ted
and Ashleigh Slater. We all feel discouraged sometimes, but what about when our spouse feels beaten down or weary? On this episode, we'll share some practical ways you can encourage your discouraged spouse. Ted, you're supposed to.
Yes.
You're supposed to respond.
Yes, my dear.
What is your favorite season?
I like garlic, but...
No, not seasoning. Season.
Like of the year.
Yes.
I will say autumn.
Nice.
Because like the weather turns, and we live in Arizona, so if the weather turns from 110 to something lower than that, that's a reason to rejoicify.
True. This is true.
How about you?
Well, I was going to say fall or autumn.
I just said autumn because it sounds cooler.
Right. And it's finally here. Like, it is fall.
Technically, yes.
Technically,
it
yes.
is.
But as you said, like in the Arizona desert region where we live, like I often say that fall is a state of mind.
What's that?
Because it doesn't look like typical fall here.
No.
And like you said, it's still in the like 90s and 100s.
Right. I grew up in Michigan where fall was, you had a legit fall.
Right.
And even in Virginia, we had legit falls.
And Colorado. Yeah.
Anyway, we're not trashing Arizona. We love Arizona.
No, and this is not the first place that I've lived like this. I mean, I lived in Florida.
Hawaii.
Yeah, I lived in Hawaii, went to college there. Lived in Florida for 5 years during my teenage years. But I think after us living a lot of places in between then and now, like Colorado and Virginia, as you mentioned, and Georgia, where we did have like the beautiful changes in scenery in the fall, that like the first year here was hard.
It was.
But there are a few things that we do to make it feel more like fall here.
What would that be?
Like food. We start making the soups.
Oh, yes. Like harvest soup, the warm soups.
Yeah, pies, chicken pot pie, chili. Yeah.
Ooh, that all sounds so good.
Right. Well, we can start doing that because it's fall. Yes. We'll just turn the air conditioning up.
Up meaning warmer or colder?
Colder.
Yes.
Down. I don't know.
To the side.
It's already cool in the house.
Turn it to the left.
Yeah. But okay, so I do have a popular, like an unpopular opinion when it comes to fall flavors.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, I love coffee.
Pumpkin?
But I don't like pumpkin spice lattes or pumpkin spice coffee creamer. Yeah.
Dorothy offered to make me a pumpkin tea this morning. I was like, no, please, for the love. No pumpkin.
Like, I mean, every year I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong last year. Right. So I try it and I'm like, nope.
Still don't like it.
Not for me.
Nope.
I mean, I do like some pumpkin flavored things.
Pumpkin pie.
Yes. And I absolutely loved Starbucks pumpkin scone.
Oh, right.
Like that's probably my favorite thing I've ever gotten at Starbucks.
Really?
And last year they didn't have it. This year they don't have it again.
What?
It's an injustice.
Boycott.
I probably won't do that.
Okay.
Although now that we have an espresso maker at home, I don't buy Starbucks quite as much.
Yes.
But thankfully, Trader Joe's has a lot of fun fall foods. And they have what? Pumpkin samosas. The girls love those.
Oh, yeah. Those are quite good.
So
they're savory.
Yeah. I'm actually going to probably do a little stocking up, Trader Joe's stocking up this week.
Sure,
go see what.
Stuffers.
No. Go see what they have, for fall. But today, we're talking about how to encourage your discouraged spouse.
How does this relate to seasons?
Well, when it comes to me missing fall, I don't know if you remember this, but the first year we were here, I was having a really hard time with it, like I mentioned. And you ended up buying me fall decorations from the store and bringing them home so I could kind of decorate.
I'm so thoughtful.
Decorate like it was fall in the house, and it did help.
So you say fall, I think of winter, and like winter in certain places we've lived. There's that seasonal affective disorder syndrome or something like that, where you get really depressed because it's dark and cold. And
see, here, I think and I actually looked this up because I think I was experiencing it this summer.
Oh.
You can get it in Arizona. You can get it during the summer because you're not outdoors as much because it's so hot. You're indoors a lot more. You're not as active because you are indoors a lot more. Point. And I just know this is...
Never thought of that.
I felt really depressed over the summer. I mean, we were going through stuff too. But I looked it up and I think one of our girls mentioned, hey, I wonder if that's a thing. And I looked it up and it is. In Arizona, it's kind of flipped.
That's fascinating. Look at that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Right. Okay. Well, after this short break, we're going to talk more about how to encourage your discouraged spouse and offer some practical ideas to try. So, Ted, you and I have walked through a lot of discouraging situations and seasons
Lots of different
together.
Seasons and adventures.
Yes, we're laughing as we say that, not because
we're currently not in a, well...
Sometimes you just don't know how else to respond.
Right.
It's not that we're making light of that we've walked through it. No. Like the last few months have been hard, but I don't think what we're going through we're ready to talk about publicly yet. So I actually want to rewind to when our youngest daughter was born. And I actually share this full story in the book Braving Sorrow Together. But basically we'd had a rough year. Miscarriage, job loss, panic attacks. We had some relational strain with extended family. And we found ourselves relocated from Colorado Springs to Chicago. And you had started a new job and we're excited about the potential of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it ended up not being a good fit at all.
Not being a good fit.
And so 2 days after our last daughter was born, you basically were handed a pink slip.
Yeah. They were generous, though, in the severance. They recognized that it wasn't a good fit and it wasn't my fault, it wasn't their fault. So they were very helpful.
And I think they probably intentionally waited till after she was born.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was still discouraging. It was still discouraging.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Even if they were generous in letting you go. And I think in our 22 years together, it's probably one of the times I've seen you most discouraged. And I think in some ways, I think I did my best to try to encourage you, but I probably also felt a little bit at a loss.
Right. I mean, being the provider is kind of the cliche, the guy, the husband. And I failed several times in a row.
Well, you felt like you failed, but that doesn't mean that you did, And I think sometimes over the years, you and I have both struggled in how do we best encourage each other. But I think we've continued to learn and continued to improve over the years. And so I want to share some practical ways that maybe we've learned how to encourage, not discourage, encourage each other when we've been discouraged.
Cool.
And
great.
Maybe it'll help those listening if you have a spouse who is discouraged right now.
Let's do it.
Okay, so 1.
Yes. I love that you number things.
It's very helpful to me. I like the list.
How many do you have?
We have 4.
4. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so 1.
Yes.
Speak your spouse's love language. And this is actually one that came from you because as I was planning this episode, I asked you, how can I best encourage you when you feel discouraged?
Right.
And you said it came down to your love language. So can you just say what you shared with me?
What's his name?
Dr. Gary Chapman.
Dr. Gary Chapman, right. He wrote the book 5 Love Languages, which I think is really helpful. It's really sincerely not a pop psychology thing. It's really, truly helpful. Currently, and for as long as I know, my primary love language.
Sorry, I took a sip of water and I swallowed wrong and I'm choking. Yeah, sorry about that. Please continue.
Be encouragement, right? Words of encouragement.
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Okay, I actually have the 5 in case someone listening is not familiar with them. They are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Those are the 5.
Yeah.
So your primary one is words of affirmation.
Attaboy. And as I look around in my little closet office where we're recording this, I've got a little sticky note that says, "Go get 'em, Tiger. You got this."
That I wrote.
That my spouse wrote to me. What's the other one?
There's another one.
I can't see it.
It says, "I love and appreciate you." It's a big old heart.
And I stuck them in my monitors.
Which is kind of sad. The sad thing is I probably wrote those 2 years ago. You need some new ones. You need them all along the bottom of your computer.
You should do that.
Yeah. I'm
time challenge.
Slacking on
Us
my
time challenge. Write a bunch of sticky notes.
Maybe.
Okay. Love language.
So the best way, one way that I can encourage you when you're feeling discouraged is to speak words of affirmation or praise.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
You also mentioned, though, really listening to what you're feeling discouraged about and hearing you, and then offering words of affirmation.
Yeah. So your understanding of the source of my discouragement is accurate. You can speak to it, pray about it, maybe when appropriate, challenge it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think my love language tends to be like quality time followed by words of affirmation. Mm-hmm. So like when I'm feeling discouraged, it encourages me when you're able to stop and give me that quality listening time. Like I remember sometime in the last few years, like I came home really upset after an interaction with someone. And you were like, you were able to stop. Sometimes you're in the middle of something with a client and you can't. Mm-hmm. You were able to stop and you were basically like, okay, it's pit stop time, which we've talked about that before. Say what pit stop is.
It's kind of a cheesy word. Pit stop is when I lay on the bed, my head on the pillow, put my left arm out, and Ashleigh curls up, puts her neck in my armpit area.
And my head kind of on your shoulder. And we just talk.
Hopefully I described that well. It could just sound really weird if it's like, what, her nose is in your pit? No.
No, it's like we're like laying in bed, but it's like you got your arm around me.
Right.
That's basically what it is. And I'm snuggled up next to you.
Very comfortable way to just chat.
Right.
That stuff.
Yeah. And I think the main point of this one about love languages is basically that it reminds us that we aren't all wired the same. Like what encourages you most when you're discouraged may not encourage me most when I'm discouraged. So I think for us and for those of you listening, it's a reminder to really be attuned to what your spouse's love language is and look for ways to encourage them through it.
Right.
And if you don't know what your love language is, there's lots of quizzes online. Just look up Dr. Gary Chapman, 5 love languages, and you'll find one.
Yeah. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Super helpful.
Well, you did come up with that point. So attaboy, Ted. Okay. So number 2, become a megaphone of encouragement. And I know that sounds weird, but I'll explain it. And this is one that I think I learned during that discouraging season of job loss that we talked about just a bit ago. So let me kind of break down the word megaphone, because I picked that intentionally. According to the online etymology dictionary, mega comes from the Greek word megas. I might not have said that right, which means great. Well, phone means voice. So a megaphone is a great voice.
Great voice.
So becoming this great voice of encouragement to your spouse.
So it's not that you're yelling at me. Like literally megaphone. I love you, dang it. Why don't you get up to your thick head?
No, that's totally, oh my lands, that's hilarious.
Yeah, megaphone. Just speak louder. Then they'll understand.
Yeah, no, maybe that wasn't the best choice of word for me to pick.
As long as we define it as not yelling.
Right. And I think it basically comes down to, during that particular season, when you felt like a failure, I reminded you that you weren't. That I didn't see you as a failure, your kids didn't see you as a failure, God didn't see you as a failure, and that it didn't define, being out of a job did not define who you were or your worth.
That's true.
Those are found in Christ alone, which I think is hard for you because I think that's where you can feel discouraged is work, because you do find a lot of identity in that.
I do.
But I think men do in general.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think you've done like the same thing for me over the years.
You think?
Yes. Okay, so about a month ago at church.
Yes.
We had Megan Fate Marshman was speaking.
Oh, she's so cool.
Yes. And she actually has a new book out that my small group is actually reading, which is called Relax, Walking with the One Who Is Not Worried About a Thing. Anyway, at the end of her message, she had us do an exercise where she partnered us up and had us bless each other. The subject was grace.
Like look at each other, put your hand on the other person's shoulder, and then speak a word of something.
Right. And so we were basically supposed to just really try to tune into what we felt like maybe the Holy Spirit wanted us to say or was impressing on our hearts to say. And what you said at the time was encouraging.
Right.
But later you told me the first thing that came to your mind. And I'm probably going to cry because it was exactly what I needed to hear based on things we've been going through recently.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's funny. The first thing I told you at the time was you're loved, which is true. And I felt that you needed to hear that. But the first thing that really came to mind, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's what came to mind, is you're good enough. You're good enough.
Yeah. And when you said it to me, it instantly resonated because it is something I need to hear, especially I think I struggle with those feelings in general, But in the particular situation we've been walking through, those feelings have been heightened. Mm-hmm. So it was exactly like when you said it, I was like, yep, pretty sure that was the Holy Spirit prompting you to say that. So that was an example of you being a megaphone of encouragement.
And I didn't shout it. That was very gently said.
Yes, okay, pretend you're whispering through your megaphone. I'm going to have to rethink this.
No, it's great. It's because it's such an unusual term and it's so differently defined, which is, it's sticky then.
Yeah, right. People will remember it, hopefully. Okay, so we're going to take another short break, but when we come back, we'll share a couple more ways you can encourage your discouraged spouse. So number three. Be patient with your spouse. So some discouragements don't last long. For example, me feeling discouraged that it didn't look or feel like fall. Like the first year was hard. Now I'm used to it. Right. I know how to I know it's a state of mind. And
right. Or discouragement I might have with a particular coding challenge that I can't figure out, and then the next day I figure it out and it's success. And
right.
Everybody's happy.
Or when they gave me a senior discount at Culver's.
Oh, no.
I was upset about that, discouraged about that for like a couple weeks. I am not close to that age yet. I'm 45, not 55 plus. I got over that.
Yeah.
But there are some seasons that have been longer seasons of discouragement.
Yeah,
for example, like extended job loss.
Mm-hmm.
We've walked through that several times. Like when we had it when our last daughter was born. But when our oldest daughter, was an infant, you were laid off because the company got sold. It was one of those things where the company kept changing hands.
Right. And I couldn't find a job anywhere locally.
Well,
that was a good fit.
You even went through this, I don't know what I want to do. Do I want to keep doing what I'm doing?
I was considering going back to school for audio production.
Which I would have totally supported you in that.
It was really expensive, though.
But you kind of
training I wanted.
Froze. And I think I think I struggled with, and I tell this full story in the book Timas, with wanting to...
Which you can get from Amazon and from Best Buy.
Wherever books are sold. Little plug there. Anyway, I think, I had to be patient instead of wanting to rush you to figure it out or to go get a job, full-time job myself and fix the situation.
Get off your butt and go out there and get a job.
I had to just be patient with you. And I think which wasn't always easy, but I think if I hadn't done that during that discouraging season, we might have been interfered or rushed ahead of what God wanted to do.
Right. And that's when, the next job I had was at Focus on the Family. It was a really good job, good friends, good people.
Yeah. And we had to wait for that one because there was a hiring freeze at the time.
But that ended up being very good season.
Yeah, but it was several months before that opportunity presented itself. I think we've talked about the map before and dreaming about where to go. And that, I think, sparked you reaching out to people you knew at Focus in Colorado. So, I think there's a certain patience that needs to come when your spouse is discouraged. All right, you ready for number 4?
Bring it on.
Okay, this is a little weird one, too.
I like weird.
Okay, see the hero in your spouse.
Like if they're Clark Kent, but you think maybe.
Take your glasses off. Are you Superman? Okay, best way I can explain what I mean is to share a story about one of our daughters.
I like stories. Let's hear a story.
And unpack the point from there. Now, this was years ago because she's a teenager now, but this was when she was in 2nd grade. And she overheard 2 of her classmates talking about Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. And one boy said...
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, well...
If you haven't watched Star Wars, maybe skip ahead 2 minutes.
Yeah, there will be a spoiler alert. But one boy said, Darth Vader is stupid. And another one said, no, he's not. He's awesome. And so she agreed with the second boy because this particular child of ours seems to like villains in stories. And when it comes to Star Wars...
redemptive arc,
right.
Perhaps.
Yes, that's where I'm going with this.
Oh, sorry.
When it comes to Star Wars, she loved Darth Vader, like it's her favorite character. And I'm not talking Anakin Skywalker before he turns to the dark side. I mean Darth Vader, episode, 6? Episode 4?
You must be
4.
4 or 5.
Somewhere in there. Okay.
Yeah.
With the black mask and the black cape and the creepy breathing and all that. Right. And it isn't that she loves villains. Well, maybe she does. But In this case, it's because she knew the end of his story. This is where the spoiler alert comes in. Right. She'd seen the scene where he sacrifices himself to save Luke. And so she didn't, I think, view him as this villain. Instead, he was a hero because she knew the end of his story. And later, she and one of our other girls, I heard them having a discussion on it. And when she asserted that he was a hero to her sister argued in favor of Vader's villain status. Oh. After all, I mean, look at all the evil he'd done, right? And that made him bad, right? But here's what I actually said at the time. I was like, well, it depends on what part of his story you focus on. Because, I mean, look at Paul in the Bible.
I was thinking the exact same thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you open up Acts to when his name was Saul, you'd label him a villain, right?
Right.
But then if you look at so much of the rest of the New Testament,
right,
you'd be amazed at his transformation from villain to hero. Okay.
There's so many stories in the Bible of people you could discount them as villainous. Is that a word? Sure. Like Rahab, David, Solomon, all these.
They were talking about some of those in church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All these, yeah.
Okay, so what does Darth Vader and Saul turned Paul have to do with encouraging your discouraged spouse?
Tell me.
Okay. So I think sometimes when we feel discouraged, we're not acting our best. For example,
sure,
I struggle. I verbally process things, and sometimes I process them to the point that I beat them to a pulp, and it's not helpful anymore. And I know it's annoying. I know you're annoyed with me.
Not sometimes, right now.
No, but sometimes, I'm not like acting necessarily like a hero when I'm discouraged sometimes. And I don't think you're not always acting like a hero when you're discouraged.
No.
We can be annoying with each other, or we can be like, really? Wow, have they not gotten over this yet? I've already been a megaphone of encouragement. I've used their love language. I've been patient with them. Why are they not feeling better yet? And so I think then we can be like, really get over it, dude.
Dude.
But dude sounds like when our daughter, I don't know, one of our daughters has been calling me a pro gamer. I don't know what that's.
Pro gamer.
I don't know what that's.
That's very Sigma.
Oh, no. No. Okay. But I think that when each other isn't acting our best, or we're in those prolonged seasons of discouragement, that's when we can remind ourselves to see the hero and not the villain in each other. Basically, see the best in each other.
And sort of anticipate that in time this difficult season will end and your spouse will triumph. Or let's get through it.
Well, I think, if you determined whether I was the protagonist or the antagonist based on only bits and pieces of my narrative arc, and I'm acting badly when I feel discouraged, you'd cast me as a villain, right?
Sure.
But I think that we need to remind ourselves that on our spouse's bad days, when they're extra discouraged and maybe even annoying that their story isn't finished yet, that God's not done with them. And we can be, I think this is part of being maybe that megaphone of encouragement, is we can see them for who God intends them to be, and how this discouragement can make us more like Jesus and encourage each other and be patient with each other and just believe, maybe it's believing the best, seeing the best when circumstances and situations might be bringing out our worst.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. That's that. I had 4. So to recap, here are some ways you can encourage your discouraged spouse. 1, speak your spouse's love language. 2, become a megaphone of encouragement. Don't actually yell at them. 3, be patient with your spouse. And 4, see the hero in your spouse. So after this break, we'll be back with this time's Us Time Challenge, and we'll share it with you. All right. So for this week's Us Time Challenge, here's what I'm proposing, and maybe you have something to add. I say, for those of you listening, ask your spouse what best encourages them when they feel discouraged.
And write some Post-it notes and stick it on their computer monitors.
Yeah, or someplace, maybe they're not a computer techie guy like you, where they see it most. Maybe it's on, maybe they're in their car a lot.
So they see it first thing.
Or the dashboard or something. Yeah, find a place that they will see it regularly and do that.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Team Us podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, and we'd love to have you leave a review over at Apple Podcasts. We're looking forward to next time as we keep talking about how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together.
Team Us with Ted and Ashleigh Slater is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review the podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.